Hey guys, welcome to Field Sketch. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk to you about a foamy Extra 300 rebuild. This thing was upside down, about full throttle heading down the runway, and a friend of mine pulled up, and instead of pushing down, and she exploded when she hit the ground. And then he was upset, so he kicked the airplane and did further damage. Broke the wing tube in half, stripped the aileron servos, broke the fuselage in half, broke the prop, jerked the wires off of the speed control canopy, and the pilot had a bad headache. But I wanted to test some of these new glues and some of the techniques and just see if I could make the plane fly again, and then if it would fly again, then how well it would fly. So the first thing is I glued the vertical stabilizer back together and put the rudder and everything on the tail back with two-part epoxy. And then the next step was to get all the pieces of the cowl and tape it back together to get some sort of a resemblance of what the front end was like. The wing tube was broken in half, so it was replaced by a wooden dowel of the same diameter and cut to the same length of the two pieces. You can see that the firewall was ripped away from the foam, and you can see the Gorilla Glue was put in. You have to coat it with water, then coat it with the glue, and then it expands when it dries. And I put masking tape around the outside of it to hold the form to the fuselage so it wouldn't expand out all over the place. You can see that the masking tape lifts the paint off of the fuselage, but that can always be taken care of later and just repainted. Same thing on this side. You can see right around the side of the cowl where the glue just did squeeze out, but it makes it really nice and a finished edge so that it's easy to sand back to the right contour. Then on the bottom of the fuselage where it was broken in half, the same process here. This will be easy enough to sand back to the contour and then paint. If you don't tape the glue when it expands, you can see here on the firewall where it squeezes out all over the place, and you either have to trim it off with a razor blade or sand it off. It's just much easier to tape it so it can't expand. Here inside the fuselage, you can see where it squeezed out. We'll just trim that off with a razor blade. The two white tabs that you see in the center of the picture there, when the wings slide in from each side, a screw goes down through each white tab to hold it to the bottom of the plane into another piece of plastic. That plastic was ripped out, so I notched out the bottom of the fuselage and put a piece of plywood in all the way across the bottom. So when the wings slide in, each screw would go down into that same piece of plywood, and it would be bridged together all the way across the airplane. Here the wing tube was replaced with a wooden dowel, and the center line was marked so an equal amount was in each wing. The motor mount was glued back with two-part epoxy, all the pieces screwed to the motor. The table was coated with packing tape and then epoxy together. And then I realized I should just replace that, so I did. The canopy was put back together with packing tape. It makes it hard for the pilot to see. The landing gear, the bracket that goes in the fuselage, was reinforced with glue from the back side, but the landing gear, when it snapped into it, was still loose, so I filled the cavity with hot glue after the landing gear was put in, and that made it nice and snug. If you want to remove this landing gear, you could heat up the hot glue, and that would release it to be able to replace it later. So the cowl is on. Now we're just waiting for the new motor mount to come in here. After the motor mount came in, I just put it back together and balanced it, took it out to the field for this test flight. Okay, this is the maiden flight of the Extra 300 after being in 400 pieces. So we'll give it a shot and see what it's got.
bite number 2.